Hi everyone, and welcome back to Luna Raven Nyght Tarot. I realized from my first video my introduction wasn't that wonderful, so I wanted to fix that. I wanted to remedy that. My name is Luna Raven Nyght. I chose my name for the love of the moon, in honor of my spirit guide, the Raven. I will not share her name, but she has been inspiring me to branch out more in the things I want to do and to embrace the life changes I'm currently going through. And I chose the last name of Nyght, N-Y-G-H-T, because it sounds medieval, it sounds mysterious, and I love the night. I love the cricket songs, I love seeing the stars, I love seeing the moon at her brightest. It's just a beautiful, beautiful time of night. It's my favorite time of the day as well, since it is dark, and I'm able to hear different life out there than I am during the day. I live in the middle of a forest, and you can hear very many different things at night that you don't hear during the day. And most of it is beautiful, sometimes a little scary, but mostly very, very beautiful. I consider myself to be a very nice person. I can be standoffish if I feel that a person has a very intense energy about them, or someone who's very negative, or someone who's going to be a bit too clingy and decides that they want to model themselves after me. I have had one person in my local area attempt to do this several times, and I couldn't take it. I like people being unique. I am unique. I am very different. I am eccentric. I am eclectic. I think I'm fun. When I'm with my friends, I just let myself out. I tend to be a goofball at times. I crack jokes. I can be very sarcastic. And I'm also caring, and I worry about others. I really do. There are other times when I'm kind of sad. I've had a lot of passing in my family, a lot of people who have passed. And the older passings, although I miss the people, they don't hurt as much as the passing away of my mother and my sister. My youngest sister passed away 5 years ago. It'll be 6 years ago this year. And my mother would have passed away 3 years ago in June. So it's been a pretty wild ride, and it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I am now. And on days when I'm upset, sometimes it's grief, sometimes it's just the fact I want to be left alone. Need time to re-energize. I'm an empath, and I have days where I want people just to back off. Other than that, I think I'm very nice. I consider myself pretty smart. I know of people who do not agree with me, but their views do not matter because I know who I am and I know what I am. As a person, I also think I'm a little bit shy, but I can also be outgoing. And for anyone who says that's a contradiction, I contradict myself all the time. That's normal of me. Also, that is a quality of a Sagittarius. And I'm a Sagittarius, so I have times when I can be like really very deep and I can sound very wise. Then next thing you know, I'm cracking a joke. That's just who I am. My hobbies I would classify as taking walks, taking nature photography. I like taking pictures of animals, flowers, ponds, and nature rural-filled areas. That's one of the things I enjoy the most. I also like to hang out in graveyards, and I want to begin doing I'm not sure the exact name of this, but impressions of tombstones. Mainly the older tombstones, not the new ones, but the ones that have been around for over 100 years. I want to turn those into forms of artwork, and I eventually want to sell them and then show them off and remind people, hey, these are our ancestors who came before us. Don't forget them. They're still important, even if we know nothing about them. They are someone's something. They're someone's ancestor. They're someone's sister, friend, brother, father, mother, grandparent, and etc. So even if we don't know that much about a person, I feel it's important for that memory to live on, because so many people feel forgotten in life, and sometimes they are. That's just the way, unfortunately, the world works. I like to collect books. I love archery. I love to draw and write short stories. And I love Pokemon hunting with my middle sister. That is very, very fun. And my other hobbies, I'd probably say collecting things, namely Funko Pop figures. I do collect some Sailor Moon and Black Butler figures. I'm branching out to also collecting things relating to anime Seraph of the End. I also like to collect animation cells, but animation cells of the old cartoons I grew up with. So far I have an animation cell from the show Darkwing Duck of Negaduck, and I have 2 from the show Beetlejuice. I'm hoping to expand out that collection. I also like to collect watches, tarot decks, oracle decks. I'm branching out to Lenormand, which I intend to learn one day. And I also like to collect different wanted posters, as you can see behind me, and I will explain that later. And I like to collect almost anything that makes me happy, basically, and that strikes my interest. My interests would be history, learning more about my path that I'm on, and branching out my beliefs. And my other interests would be, I have so many that's hard for me to narrow down, but I like to learn. Well, mainly I like learning, to be very honest. I really do like to learn. Another interest would be trying to understand people and why they feel they have the right to boss you around, tell you how to live your life, whereas other people are, hey, do whatever you want. It's a very interesting personality trait, and it's one I like to kind of notice and study in people, where some people are domineering and others are very, very just free-spirited. And it's nice to see. And another one of my interests would be genealogy. I like to research my family's genealogy. I also like to research hauntings and find out the stories, which you can tell are obviously fake, then compare them to real ones, and to learn how to help people get rid of spirits. I already do some work to help a few people around who have needed it, and I learned some of the things I know of between my mother and my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother was a Native American medicine woman. She was half Lakota and she was half Mohawk. She was very, very awesome, and she taught my mom a lot, and in return my mom trained me with the same beliefs. Many of them are Catholic inspired, because my great-grandmother lived on the St. Regis Mohawk Reservation, and from what I understood, she was very, very Catholic by the time she married my great-grandfather. And that may have been a choice, or it may have been she had to be able to marry him, because my mother's family was French Canadian, and the only way you could marry into the family is if you agreed to convert to Catholicism. So that might have been forced on her. I'm not really sure, but her methods work. Once I banish a spirit, they usually stay away for a long time, and once in a blue moon they come back, but very rarely ever. One of my main interests, as I mentioned earlier, is history, especially the history of the 1920s and the 1930s. I love learning about the gangsters of those eras. My favorite gang would have to be Detroit's Purple Gang. I love learning about them. They're an eccentric bunch, a violent, dangerous, but eccentric bunch, so they're fun to learn about. I don't know if they classify themselves as fun to learn about, but I do. One of my main interests, without a doubt, are gangsters, as I mentioned earlier, and this is my gangster wall. I am very, very proud of it. I made a collage of all the gangsters that I like reading about the most, and in turn my mother surprised me on my birthday of 2013 by having my collage turned into a canvas. I was very, very happy, and I love this. It's very, very important to me, and it's a centerpiece of my gangster wall, so I am very, very happy. extremely happy. My beliefs are definitely pagan. As of right now, very much Wiccan inspired. I am learning more about the path I am walking on. I was raised to be both Catholic and have Lakota beliefs when my mother was alive and when I was young. Then when I was 14, I found a book by Silver Raven Wolf my father bought for me to infuriate my mother. He didn't think I was serious. The book was called Teen Witch. He thought I was just joking, but I was not. I felt very called to the book, and it was the very first time that I ever felt as if God really paid attention to me, really loved me, and I was important. And I loved that feeling. My mother did not like the word Wicca. She did not like the religion. She felt uncomfortable with it. And at one point, she told me, alright, I could never read the book. I need to get rid of it, and I could not believe what I had read. And that upset me. I respected her rules to her face, but I kept researching things in my private time. And then around 2011, 2012, I tried going back to Catholicism. I got a Catholic Bible my mother gave me, and I really did try. I just couldn't get into it. God felt so far away. I mean, he's in the heavens staring down at all of us, and if he's unhappy with us, we're gonna go to some burning hole in the ground? That makes no sense to me. It never really has. And that's when I realized, no matter how hard I try to be Christian, it may not work, but I also wanted to fit in. I was very much wanting to fit in because I'm so eccentric as it was already, and as it is already. And I didn't want to be even weirder in people's eyes, so I just wanted to fit in, even if it meant the path I was walking was not right for me. In the end, all it did was hurt me, so after a while, I just stopped believing in God after my sister died. When she died, I was just like, I don't know if I believe in God anymore. I mean, if he's really out there, why wouldn't he save my sister? But then I came to realize that God and Goddess did save my sister. They ended her pain because she was a very, very sick little girl, and she had been her entire life. She was 24 when she passed, but she was about up to here and about the size of maybe a 10-year-old, I'm guessing. And she had a lot of health problems her entire life that she faced. I don't want to go into those, but she had many. And then 2 years after my sister passed away, my mother passed away. And I've always believed deep down she died of heartbreak. And she just wanted to find a way to leave the world to be with my sister because she really did seem to be more attached to my sister than she ever did me. That's not a complaint, that's just a statement. But then I tried going back to Christianity when I began talking to my father and his cousin, and I was really trying. I also wanted to fit in, and I joined the Independent Baptist Church, or as I refer to it now, the Church of the Walking Corpses. I was extremely unhappy. I felt very unwelcomed, and everyone in the church kept telling me they felt God all around them. I felt an empty building. I didn't feel anything. I felt completely cut off. And then I started going back to my beliefs again for a little bit. Then I went and became Southern Baptist as one last ditch effort to be Christian because once again I wanted to fit in, and I was also trying to see if I embraced the beliefs I had already had of having a God and a goddess. Is that wrong? Because I was led to believe my beliefs were wrong. Extremely, extremely wrong. And I was not at the point yet to embrace what I truly believed as being right for me. I was not at that point at that time. And I was with a Southern Baptist church for maybe about 2 months. Then I just stopped going to church for a while. I went back one last time, and I just asked God, if this is right for me, send me a sign, please. If it's not right for me, please let me know. I need to know what to do. So I walked in, I listened to a sermon, and then the pastor ends by saying, as long as you love God, God will always love you in return. He won't be mad at you. Just leave your hearts open. And that to me is, oh, that's validation. This is not the right path for me. I don't feel happy. And I did not feel God in that church either, by the way. I liked the music very, very much, and the pastor was awesome. I did really appreciate him and really like him. He was non-judgmental, he was sweet, and he was unlike other pastors who would tell you you're going to hell if you don't pay attention in church. He was nothing like that. If you didn't understand something, you could go up to him after a sermon, say, hey, I didn't understand, could you explain it to me? If he didn't have time, he would invite you over. He would invite you back to church later on in the week to explain it to you. Very, very, very nice man. And if you're Christian, I would suggest trying to find a pastor like this in your life, because if I had felt Christianity was the right path for me, I would have really gone back to church much more often because of that man. But the path was not right for me. I did not feel God, and I don't believe in what most Christians believe in. For instance, I do not believe that God's sitting up in heaven and some golden throne staring down at us and judging us and basically seeing if we can ever live up to being what he expects us to be. I have heard that and learned that Jesus is ever forgiving and he works with God to make sure we are forgiven, but even that, just like, humans make mistakes. We all have dark sides. And we did some very evil things, I will admit that. Rapes, murders, intentionally hurting others, and sometimes we do things that we don't mean to do. Sometimes we hurt the people we care about. Sometimes we lie. Sometimes we give a little white lie that could explode into something else and make us feel very guilty in the end. Other times we could come out and just say something to someone, like, hey, I don't agree with that, or tell them, oh, that's just not right, or say something else that offends and hurts them to the point it shakes their self-confidence. Most people don't mean to do that. They don't even realize what they did wrong. And we all have that darkness about us, and that's when I really started going, I need a break from religion. So for a while, I just kept myself open, didn't really believe in much. I still believed in God and Goddess very, very much. God and Mother Moon, as I term them. And I was like, okay, I believe in them. I just need to find the right path for me. So I was watching the YouTube, I call it a YouTube show. It's a YouTube channel called The Pagan Perspective. And there's one girl in there named Cara, and she had a Catholic background as well, and I was able to identify with her. I listened to her videos, I was listening to her journey, and I'm still watching her videos and some of the other videos on there. And it helped me to really sort through what I wanted to believe and let me know, hey, it's okay. You don't have to go down this path. You can go down whatever path you want to. I really appreciated that. So it really helped me to say, hey, I want to go back to the Wiccan path I was walking before. And I made that decision late November, and I really started embracing it near the middle of December. And now come January, I have found out it's definitely the right path for me. I've been so happy. And I'm not, for anyone who's concerned that I've been warned, don't go in doing the spells just yet. No, I like to read the books. I want to know what I believe in, what I don't believe in, or I just don't feel comfortable with. And I want to understand how everything works and how you do everything and how I love the fact too that with Wicca, it's open. They're not going to throw things at you and say, you have to believe this, you have to believe that, you're going to hell. It's nothing like that. I mean, they acknowledge the fact that God and Goddess have a dark side, but they also acknowledge the dark side through floods, mudslides, and other natural disasters can also bring regrowth and beauty. And I really like that. And I love how God and Goddess they're omnipotent. They're around us everywhere. They're in nature. They're everywhere. They're even with our little critters, like little Mr. Jack there. And I love the fact too that when I talk to God and Goddess, I can feel them. I know they're listening. They're giving me advice. If I don't hear the advice in back of my mind, then usually they send me a dream that has so much advice in it that I wake up just feeling so happy and warm, and I write it down. Because it's really, really good, and it's very, very wise. And with Wicca, I'm allowed to believe anything I want to. It's so nice. I believe in fairies, very, very much so. I've seen fairies since I was a little girl. I believe in dragons. I have seen 2 dragons, by the way. Now, for those who go, how can you see them with your eyes? It's more you see them with your third eye, not really with your physical eyes. So sometimes, if it's strong enough, and if you believe enough, and if your third eye is open enough, you can see them with your eyes, or at least it becomes so powerful through your third eye, you feel like you're seeing it through your physical eyes. I'm not completely sure how it works. That's kind of theory right there on my part, but that's just what I believe. And I'm really enjoying the path I'm on, and I want to learn more about it, and I am. And my beliefs are there is really no physical hell, and that hell is something Christians invented for social control and social order. Do what we want you to do. Vote for who we want you to vote. Believe what we tell you to do. If you be a good little boy or good little girl, you'll go to heaven. God will be pleased with you. But if you rebel, if you look outside of what we tell you, you're going to hell. You're going to burn. Because in the end, no one can save you unless Jesus saves you through us. So that's the whole thing. If you want to access Jesus, you've got to go to church. You can't just talk to him and know he's near. Oh, no, no, no. You can have a Bible even, but you have to go to church if you want to be considered 100% a good, loyal, faithful Christian. And that to me is coercement. I don't like it. It makes me feel very small. It makes me feel put down. And it makes me feel like a church, in a way, has never really moved on from what they did in the medieval ages, namely the Catholic Church. I think it was a Catholic church. I might be wrong about this, but one of the churches back in the medieval ages would write slips of paper down. And if you paid the church, they would say your soul was saved and give you a certificate showing it. And today, your soul is saved if you go to church, if you do what they want, and especially if you give tithing and you give offerings. So, I don't think the church really has changed that much, no matter what people tell me. So, I'm just not hating on Christians or anything like that. This is my observations. Another thing I like about Wiccans and pagans in general is that for the most part, most of them do not try to sway you over or tell you, you have to join our path. You can't go down any other path. They recognize there are many paths leading to deity. And it does not need to be only one religion to reach the divine. There are so many paths. There's no reason to fight. In the end, we're all talking to the same beings. And I know Christians and many other religions will completely disagree with this. But that's how most Wiccans feel, and I agree with that. We all have our own paths we have to walk, and this is my path. I'm embracing it. I am learning about it. I am loving it. I'm embracing learning about my path, and I'm enjoying it. When I was on a Christian path where I really did not belong, I tried to enjoy it as much as possible, but in the end, I always felt like I was forcing myself to believe in something I just couldn't agree with or believe in the end. I just tried, but I couldn't. And that's when I went back to reading different resources, including this book that I'm reading right now, Wicca, A Guide for a Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. And so far it is so good, and I am loving it. And it helps me to know, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. This is how you're feeling. This is how our ancients before us were. It's been great. I am loving it. I'm only on beginning the 2nd chapter, but I know it's like barely any learning at all. I fully recognize that. But what really called out to the book for me was when I was reading a sample of it on Kindle. and it's talking about shamans and how they use rattles, how they use music, how they use dancing. And so many of the methods line up with how my great-grandmother connected with the divine before she entered the Catholic religion, that I feel so connected with everything I was raised with. I was raised by my mother to know that, hey, God talks to us. If you listen to music, you'll find your mind wandering off. Sometimes they're just daydreams, but when you forget where you are, and all of a sudden, when a song ends and you feel like, I learned something I did not know before, I saw something that I feel is very, very important and relevant to me, then you talk to the divine. So the Wiccan path is very, very similar to my great-grandmother's teachings. And I feel like it's welcoming me with open arms, which I really, really like. And for right now, those are the beliefs that I want to talk about, and I did. And I will discuss more later as I learn more. I am going to be having some channel changes on my page. I am not only going to be focusing on tarot anymore, I also want to focus on figure reviews, book reviews, sharing my path and my journey with you, and sometimes just posting videos just to talk to you all and just to let you know more about who I am and to share what I'm learning with you all and how my path is going. I'll have times when I geek out to you all. I am a geek and a nerd. And I'll have times too when I tell you all about, just sit down and talk about gangsters. I love talking about them, so you will be seeing those on the channel. And the gangsters I speak about are namely from the 1920s and the 1930s. I'm not interested in the modern day ones because I don't consider them real gangsters. I really don't. Real gangsters respect their mother, they're polite to women, and they dress nicely. So that's my beliefs, and that's how my channel will be changed, and that's how things will be going. And it was great talking to you all, and I will see you again soon.